This lesson is on triangle midsegments. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the definition of a midsegment. So a midsegment is a segment that connects the midpoints of the two sides of a triangle. So if this is the midpoint of one side and this is the midpoint of the other, the midsegment is the distance between those two midpoints. So what it's doing is it's creating equal parts. So that would be equal and these would be equal. Now, this length right here is half of this length. So the midsegment theorem just says that the segment connecting the two midpoints of the two sides of the triangle is parallel to the third side and is half that. So this length, this midsegment, is parallel to the side it's across from and is half of it. So the long side times 1/2 or divided by 2 will give us the midsegment. And if we're going the other way, the midsegment times 2 will give us the length of the third side. So looking at this example, we've got XY, which is this side right here. And we want to know what side it's parallel to. So parallel means directly across and the same distance from it the entire time. So that's going to be AC. So it's parallel to AC. And we know by the midsegment theorem that since it's XY is a midsegment, it's parallel from AC. XY is going to be half of AC. Or AC divided by 2 will equal XY. XY times 2 will equal AC. So XY times 2 will equal AC, or AC divided by 2 will equal XY. Now it's asking us about CB. So CB is parallel to XZ. So what that is telling me is that XZ is a midsegment. It's parallel to BC. So XZ is half of CB, or CB divided by 2 will give me XZ. And then if we're looking at ZY, ZY is parallel to AB. So I know that ZY times 2 will give me AB. And AB divided by 2 will give me ZY. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at C, D, and E and try and answer those on your own, and then we'll go over them. So looking at C, we're looking at ZY and AB. So what it's telling me is that ZY is 6, and it's asking me for AB, which is that long side. Well, I know that if ZY is the midsegment, it's got to be half of the side that it's parallel to, which is AB. So then 2 times the ZY will give me AB. So AB has to be 12. Now for D, looking at CY is 7, right? So what I want to do is I know that if this side is 7, then this also has to be 7, right? And it's asking me for ZX. Well, ZX is going to be half of CB, so ZX is going to be actually equal to CY, so that also will be 7. And finally for E, it says AC, which is this long side here, is 18. Then what is XY? Well, I know that XY is parallel to AC, So it has to be half of it. So 18 times 1/2, or 18 divided by 2, is going to give me 9. So xy is 9. Now we're going to look at an example that has some equations. And the first thing I need to do is fix these on your foldable. I think this is 2x plus 12, and this should be 2x minus 2. So the problem tells me that RS is the midpoint or midsegment of triangle DEF. So that RS in the middle is a midsegment. So I'm going to find the side where it is parallel to, which is DE. So RS times 2 has to be DE, and DE divided by 2 has to be RS. So let's set up this problem and see if we can solve. So let's look at A. So if RS is 4x plus 5 and DE is 3x plus 25, it wants me to solve for RS. So what I'm going to do, give myself some more space, is that I know that 2 of RS has to equal DE. So 2 times 4x plus 5 has to equal 3x plus 25. Well, that's 8x plus 10 equals 3x plus 25. And I'm going to solve this equation. So x equals 3, but that's not what they asked me for. What they asked me for was RS. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that back in. So 4 times 3 plus 5. So that's 12 plus 5. So RS is 17. Now I want you to try part B on your own, and then we'll go over it together. So part B says that DE is 2x plus 12 and RS is 2x minus 2. And again, I know that 2 of RS has to equal DE. So I can set this up two different ways. I can say 2x minus 2 times 2 equals 2x plus 12. Or I could have set it up as 2x plus 12 divided by 2 equals 2x minus 2. To me, the one with the distributive property is easier, but it's totally personal preference. So here I get x equals 8. That's not what they asked me for, though. They asked me for DE. So 2 times 8 plus 12. Well, that's 16 plus 12, which is 28. Now, if I were to do it this other way over here, what I would do is divide by 2. So that's x plus 6 equals 2x minus 2. And I would still end up with x equals 8. So either way you did it, that would have been fine as long as you got 8. And I can go back and check my work because I know that RS has to be half of it. So if I plug in 8 into RS, it needs to be half of 28 or 14. And that works out, so I know that my work is correct. And I know that my answer to B should have been 28 because it asked for DE. So that's all I have as far as midsegment goes. It's a pretty easy concept, and we will talk more about it in class.